Wow, you guys have really outdone yourselves with these sources this time.
This is gonna be a good one.
Looks like we're diving deep into some German politics this time.
Always a good time.
You know, full of fireworks and gender politics and controversy on Twitter.
Should be fun.
We've got a spokesperson for the German Green Youth.
Oh, yeah. Jette Nietzard.
Jette Nietzard, yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting how, like, one little statement online can just explode.
Oh, yeah.
Especially in a place like Twitter.
And in politics, right?
Oh, for sure, for sure.
Things are so charged.
And the range of opinions, too.
Oh, yeah.
It's wild. Like, some people are seeing just blatant misandry.
Oh, yeah.
And others are just totally downplaying the whole thing.
It's really interesting to see how it's perceived by different people.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's set the scene here.
Okay.
It's New Year's Eve in Germany. Lots of fireworks.
Big celebration.
Yeah, everyone's having a good time, but as you might imagine, there's also a lot of injuries.
Oh, yeah. Fireworks can be dangerous.
Right, so this is where Jette Nietzard comes in.
Okay.
She's a prominent voice in the Green Youth.
Which is like the youth organization
Yeah.
affiliated with the Green Party.
Right, exactly. So for our listeners who don't know the German political system very well,
Sure.
the Green Youth are often like pushing for more radical policies than the main party.
Yeah, they're definitely a little bit more out there sometimes.
Yeah, and I think that context is going to be important for understanding the reactions to this tweet.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so Nietzard sends out this tweet that just says, at least they can't hit women anymore.
Oh, boy.
And I'm guessing this is where things went off the rails.
Yeah, that's one way to put it.
I mean, the tweet's just so ambiguous.
Yeah, no context or anything.
Right, and so people are just like filling in the blanks with their own interpretations.
And of course, the backlash was huge.
Oh, yeah.
Especially on that German subreddit, r/DE.
It's just like a major hub
Mhm.
for online discussions in Germany.
Yeah, if it's happening in Germany, it's probably being talked about on r/DE.
Right, and you sent some sources that really show just how intense the backlash was.
Oh, yeah.
Accusations of like just straight up misandry.
Like throwing around the term Mannerhass.
Mannerhass, yeah, man hatred.
Yeah, some people were really not happy.
And a lot of people just felt like the tweet was insensitive.
Especially to, the victims of the firework injuries.
Right, because it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, if a firework hits you,
Exactly, you're going to get hurt.
you're going to have a bad time.
And this is where it gets interesting because some users started pointing out this tendency to link completely unrelated issues.
Oh, yeah, to like try and score points in the argument.
Right, it's that classic guilt by association thing.
Oh, yeah, like if you support A, then you must also support B, even if they're completely unrelated.
It happens all the time online.
All the time. It's so frustrating.
Yeah, it's easier to just get people riled up.
Than to actually like have a nuanced conversation.
Mhm.
Right. But anyway, so Nietzard, she realizes pretty quickly that she's stepped in it.
Yeah, she deleted the tweet pretty fast.
And then came the follow-up tweets.
Damage control,
Yeah, trying to clarify her stance.
which is always tricky.
Oh, yeah. So in her first attempt to like clear the air, she writes, I deleted my tweet. It would be good to talk about systematic solutions for domestic violence instead of hurt male egos. Every fourth woman becomes a victim through ex-partner. Hope you will participate in the discussion so passionately.
So she's trying to shift the focus.
Right onto something serious like domestic violence.
Yeah, but was it effective?
I don't know. Did it work?
Some people felt like she was just doubling down on that initial implication,
Oh, really?
especially with that comment about hurt male egos.
Oof. Yeah, that's probably not going to win over anyone who was already upset.
And then her final tweet just says, no one should be injured on New Year's Eve. I apologize for my tweet. I shouldn't have worded it like that.
Oh, so like a classic non-apology apology.
Maybe sorry for the words, but not for the sentiment.
Hard to say.
It really depends on how you interpret it. I mean, her follow-up tweet about domestic violence does suggest she might be genuinely concerned about the issue.
Right. It's possible that she was just trying to make a joke and it fell flat.
It happens.
Yeah. And I think this is a good reminder that like online communication is just so different from face-to-face.
Totally. You miss all those nuances.
Like tone of voice and facial expressions.
And it's so easy for things to get misinterpreted.
Exactly. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts on like the bigger picture here.
Okay.
What does this whole incident say about the relationship between the Green Youth and the main Green Party?
Oh, that's a good question.
Like, do they always agree?
Not necessarily.
Is there like a generational divide in how they approach these sensitive topics?
I think that's definitely a factor.
Yeah, it makes you wonder.
For sure.
It really makes you think about like the dynamics within the party, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
And this whole thing wasn't just some online drama, was it?
No, not at all.
It seems like it sparked all these bigger discussions about the political climate in Germany.
Especially around gender issues.
Yeah, like this incident really tapped into these existing tensions, and then social media just amplified them.
It's like this perfect storm, you know?
Yeah, and one thing that really struck me when I was reading through the sources was how some people were comparing Nietzard's tweet to these other, like, infamous gaffes
Oh, yeah.
by politicians on both sides.
It seems like every party has at least one person
Right.
who's put their foot in their mouth trying to be funny about a sensitive topic.
At a minefield, isn't it?
Totally. Like what's funny to one person is deeply offensive to another.
And that line is just so hard to find.
Especially online.
Oh, yeah.
Where everything gets blown out of proportion.
Right, one misstep and you're done.
And everyone's dissecting every word you said.
Ugh, it's exhausting.
Totally.
Okay, so speaking of online dynamics.
Yeah.
There was this one thread in the sources where some Reddit users were describing Nietzard's tweet as like boomer humor.
Oh, really?
Which is funny because she's not exactly a boomer.
Right.
So it's like, are we saying that these types of jokes
That older generations might find funny.
are just completely out of touch now?
It's definitely a possibility.
It's fascinating.
It adds a whole other layer to this debate.
Right, so now we're not just talking about political correctness,
Uh-huh.
but also like a generational shift in what's considered acceptable humor.
That's a whole other can of worms.
For sure, for sure. So it really complicates things, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Right,
I mean, it shows how humor is constantly evolving.
right.
What was once okay can quickly become taboo.
And who gets to decide where that line is anyway?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question.
Is it just like majority rules, or is it more complicated than that?
I think it's definitely more nuanced than that.
Yeah. But anyway, this all brings us back to like the impact of this whole thing on the Green Party itself.
Right.
Some commentators in the sources were saying this could really damage their image.
Especially among male voters.
Yeah, alienating a huge chunk of the electorate is never a good look.
Especially in a close race.
Right. So this could have some real consequences for them come election time.
Potentially.
Makes you wonder how they're going to handle it.
And what's their next move?
Are they going to like publicly censure Nietzard?
Or try to distance themselves from her statement?
Maybe they'll use this as an opportunity for dialogue.
It'll be interesting to see what they do.
Yeah, they're at a tough spot.
For sure, they need to address the people who are offended.
But they also don't want to alienate even more voters.
It's a balancing act.
And this whole thing really highlights the challenges of managing that relationship between a party and its youth wing.
Totally. The young people bring new ideas and energy.
But they can also be a bit unpredictable,
And sometimes they say things without thinking about the consequences.
which can create headaches for the main party.
Yeah, it's a constant push and pull.
It's a good reminder that politics isn't just about policy.
Right.
It's also about managing perceptions.
And in the age of social media, that's harder than ever.
Because things can go viral so fast.
It's like trying to put out a wildfire with a garden hose.
Okay, so to wrap up here,
Yeah?
let's go back to the power of online platforms.
Okay.
Do you think the reaction to Nietzard's tweet would have been the same if it had happened in a different context?
Like in a newspaper interview?
Or on TV?
It's hard to say.
Yeah. But it's an interesting thought experiment, isn't it?
I mean, the way we consume information shapes how we react to it.
For sure. And social media is just so different from traditional media.
It's designed to be addictive,
Right.
to keep us engaged and outraged.
And that can make it really hard to have nuanced conversations.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it really highlights how social media has just changed everything, hasn't it?
It's like this giant echo chamber for outrage.
It really is. And it makes me think, you know what, if this had been a politician from a different party,
Oh, interesting.
someone with like a less progressive reputation when it comes to gender issues,
Oh. Would the reaction have been the same?
yeah, would people have been as quick to jump on the Misandry train?
I mean, it's hard to say for sure,
Right.
but it makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the same words can mean totally different things depending on who says them.
Exactly. Context is everything.
And it just shows how our own biases can really shape how we see the world.
Oh, absolutely. We all come to these discussions with our own baggage, you know?
Our own set of assumptions and beliefs.
And that's why it's so important to be aware of those biases.
Right, to challenge our own perspectives,
And be open to hearing different viewpoints.
even if we don't agree with them.
Exactly.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive into the Jette Nietzard controversy, I think the key takeaway here is for you, the listener, to really engage in these discussions with a critical mind.
Don't just take everything you read online at face value.
Right, dig a little deeper.
question your assumptions.
To consider other perspective.
It's through these kinds of thoughtful conversations that we can start to bridge divides.
And maybe even learn to laugh together along the way.
Maybe even find some humor in the most unexpected places.
But always with an awareness of the power of our words.
Words matter.
They really do, especially online. Well, that's all the time we have for this deep dive. Thanks for joining us on this exploration of German politics and the complexities of online discourse. We hope you found it insightful and maybe even a little bit thought-provoking. Until next time, keep diving deep.